Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. We're in the last book of Proverbs, chapter 31. Now, this chapter closes out the collection that we have. As I said before, Proverbs was reported to have uttered 3,000 proverbs, so we only have a portion of it. I think 800 at best if we count all the proverbs here in the book of Proverbs. But so this last one is closes out with, at best be described, it might be his mother, which is kind of interesting. The words of his mother giving some words of wisdom to the king. And then it's going to also say this is what a good wife is. As I said before, you always, yeah, there are many um, books, sermons um, on what's called the Proverbs 31 woman. Now we'll open that up when we get to it. If this uh, uh, Proverbs here, the message of this Proverbs comes from Solomon's mother, that would have been Bathsheba. And Bathsheba, um, again, had the interesting way that this came about is you have Bathsheba. Well, first you go back to David, and David was the best king of Israel. And the reason why, nothing, he wasn't the most perfect, which we're going to get to in a moment with his twists with Bathsheba, but he was a wise king. He was a just king. In other words, when you think about the kingdom of David, you would think about the kind of ruler you would want. Justice, plain and simple. Fair, okay. Um, and but his blemish was that he lusted after a very extremely beautiful woman, Bathsheba. And there's all kinds of speculations in terms of, you know, was she complicit? Well, she was complicit in the affair, but I mean, what the question was, did she bait David? In other words, you know, he goes out to his roof, his balcony, and when he overlooks, he sees Bathsheba bathing, and of course, she is astoundingly beautiful. And then lust goes from there. Now, some suggest there's no proof of it. At least the Bible doesn't say that maybe she was kind of, seducing him. That being said, because that's not anywhere covered in Scripture, she was complicit in that she did agree to the affair. God, and then David's actions come into play because David's actions was he tried to cover his sin, and then when he didn't cover his sin, he ended up murdering Bathsheba's husband, Uriah, which so happened to be one of David's 30 choice men. In other words, in order to make the list of David's choice men, you've had to accomplish some mighty feats. Okay, he was one of the mighty men. So as a result of that, well, and the reason why it became he tried to cover the sin is because she got pregnant. In fact, the Bible talks about she just was coming off her period. She was right, and then all of a sudden, she gets pregnant. The first child died, and David repented for the sin, but then he then takes Bathsheba as his wife. And then the second child is Solomon. And then Solomon would be the one who would rule after David. We also see Bathsheba when David took the throne. We see Bathsheba, his brother tried to, get Bathsheba to persuade Solomon to give him uh, uh, David's, well, not concubine, but slave girl as his wife. Um, So in other words, Bathsheba's kind of rose to a queen position, okay, for that. Um, so it is believed that she kind of, these might be her thoughts, um, her words. Um, so again, when it says, uh, verse 1, it says, the words of King Lemuel. And by the way, my people have called me that. I don't know why, because my name is not even close to that. It's actually Lindbergh. But anyway, I do digress. So the words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. Now the word Lemuel, many believe is referring to Solomon, although again, if it's not, we don't know who this is. So again, if it is referring to Solomon, then that would make his mother Bathsheba, or so the words of King Lemuel. Okay. So then he said, verse 2, what should I say, my son? Now, if you remember in the very, very beginning of Proverbs, you see kind of the mother giving advice, the mother giving words of wisdom. Okay. So it says, what should I say, my son? What son of my womb? What son of my vows? Okay. And then it says, don't spend your energy on women or your effort on those who destroy kings. Very sound. I'm thinking about the old song, That Girl is Poison. But okay, I'm being funny here. But those who destroy kings, a man can certainly be destroyed. In fact, Bathsheba knows because she almost destroyed the kingdom of David. She wasn't a bad person, I guess, from what we see from Scripture, but now she talks about those who specifically, hey, these are women. Verse 4, it is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine or for rulers to desire beer. Otherwise, they would drink, forget what is decreed, and pervert justice for all the oppressed. Now, we kind of see this even in Scripture where kings have decreed something. Actually, from this writing perspective, we see another 500 years later with Esther, how the king decreed something under the Medes and Persians and it couldn't be altered. And then he said, so he didn't, in other words, but here, of course, he's talking about being drunk, getting drunk, and it started spurting out decrees that you don't remember. And then all of a sudden, oh, I decreed that? And yeah, yes, you decreed that. So verse 6 says, give beer to one who is dying and wine to those whose life is bitter. Let him drink so that he can forget his poverty and remember his trouble no more. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument of whether or not Christians drink beer or not, other than there is no prohibition for the scriptures to say that. To say that you cannot, in other words, it's not a sin to drink. She's given advice for them not to drink wine, not a command. And then notice also it says, look, for those who are destitute, let them, that's the only relief they may have, beer or wine. Kind of get them kind of numbing their pain. Okay. He says, verse 8, speak up for those who have no voice, for the justice of all who are deposed. Who deposed. Let's speak up for those who have no voice. The king, you could do that. Speak up, judge righteously, and defend the cause of the oppressed and the needy. Now again, we're always seeing God's care for the poor. So contrast, understand if you kind of have a hardness against the poor, you're not in line with God. All right, verse 10 says, who can find a capable wife? Stop. So now, this is what's called, we're going to get into the Proverbs 31 woman. But before we do, we need to understand a couple of things here that's going on. This is not, this is um, a collage, as it were, a compilation of a woman in various stages. In other words, no one woman could meet this woman here. And we'll see, you will see that if this is, again, no one woman, this is not talking about no one woman as that, but it is talking about different women with different character in different aspects of life. But the first statement, who can find a capable wife? Well, we already know that a good wife, he that finds a good wife, finds favor of the Lord. A good wife comes from the Lord. That's what we know. A good wife comes from the Lord. Um, a wise wife comes from the Lord. So when he says who can find a good wife, now again, when you kind of see language like this, you also have to kind of look at it from the standpoint. He's not talking about men should go out and find. In other words, let me just sit back and wait for husbands to find. So the language here is who, if you find, if you came across, if you're blessed to have. So who can find a capable wife? And then it says, she is far more precious than jewels. A good wife is. So, verse 11, the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will not lack anything good. As a man, when your wife, when you can have full trust, your heart in your wife, like he said, it is far more precious than jewels. And I can say that God has blessed me with a wife with such a character. Verse 12, she rewards him with good, not evil, all the days of her life. Now think about that. She rewards him with good and not evil all the days of her life. I know men who cannot say that, verse 13. So now it gets into some of these characteristics here. Like I say, as we kind of go off, yes, they apply to some, but not all. Verse 13, she selects wool and flax. With she works with willing hands. She's like a merchant ship bringing her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and portion from her female servants. Now that means she would. So here at this point, let's stop because we're talking about a woman who would have to also have means. So the character of the woman here, yes, he is saying that, but a good wife doesn't necessarily mean that it is one who is one of wealth. Okay? So if you want to say I'm a Proverbs woman, you would have to be a woman of wealth. Okay? So notice he said female servants. Verse 17, she values a field and buys it. She plants a vineyard with her earnings. She draws on her strength and reveals that her arms are strong. She sees her profits are good, and her lamp never goes out at night. So again, just talking about a woman of wealth here. To be able to say I can go out and buy field, manage business. Verse 19, she extends her hand to the spinning staff, and her hands hold the spindle. Her hands reaches out to the poor. She extends her hand to the needy. So again, a righteous woman who is, again, the care. One of the characteristics of a righteous person is their compassion for the poor. Verse 21, she is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all of her households are doubly clothed. She makes her own bed coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, where he sits among the elders of the land. Verse 24. So again, if you want to really say what a Proverbs woman is, this is a woman who is also in a position right here. Okay? In other words, he's not talking about the common woman. Verse 24, she makes and sells linen garments. She delivers belts to merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she can laugh at a time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and loving instruction is on her tongue. Now, verse 26, I think any woman could be this Proverbs woman, but not every woman is going to be a woman of wealth. Okay, verse 27. She watches over the activity of her household and is never idle. Okay, so she's not lazy. Verse 28. I want to say this, lazy, right? I'm debating if I'm going to kind of go open this thing here. How about a young woman on welfare? Think about that one. Verse 28. She's never idle. It says her son rises up and calls her blessed. Her husband also praises her. Okay. So in other words, because she's a good woman, a woman of character, a woman of wisdom, a woman of love, she is blessed. Her husband praises her. Verse 29, many women are capable, but you surpass them all. Charm and deceptive. Charm is deceptive and beauty fleeing. Stop. Because this is something, excuse me, I think many women should pay attention to. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. Even Bathsheba grew old. If if beauty is the only if beauty is the only thing you think about, if beauty is the only thing that you rest on, and by the way, the beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Woe is you, because it's fleeting. It's fleeting in two ways. It's fleeting that you grow old. It's fleeting that men grow tired of that. Even think about this. Even in the pornography way, there is a reason why. I don't know. I don't know if these magazines are still around, because when I was growing up, you'd have these magazines all over the place. You can go in almost any corner. You can see pornography. So I'm making that example from the print magazine, the porn magazines, right? There there was always a monthly issue, a new monthly issue. Doesn't matter. Even the beauty, there's always the monthly issue. Why? Because men grow tired quickly if all you have is a beautiful body, a beautiful looks. Yes, that's gonna grab the attention. It will in no way keep a man. No way. In other words, he doesn't get, he doesn't. That's why he doesn't look up and go, oh, they always come up with a new model, a new what they call it, a new um, 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 paper, new monthly paper. Okay, um, so he says right here, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. So if you are a woman who fears the Lord, a woman of godly character, you will be praised. He said, give her her reward, give her the reward of her labor, let her works praise her at the city gates. Now the city gates were where all of the town business was held. The elders of the city would sit around the gate, and then they would conduct business there. So, so how do we take Proverbs 31? Okay, again, take it in the sense of a general uh, um, kind of. I think what comes out of that, what you can extract and peel away from all of that, is character. A woman of godly character. That's the key. A woman of wisdom, of godly wisdom. That's the takeaway. And you could be that whether you are on the lower end of the spectrum of wealth or the higher end or in the middle. So what we would call poor, what we would call middle class, blue collar, upper middle class, wealthy, but a woman of character. That's what's going to stand out more than anything else. All right, guys, we are through with the book of Proverbs. But so we kind of after we uh, go through this, we will get into Ecclesiastics. Okay, the book of Ecclesiastics. There's a couple of more books that's attributed to Solomon. Okay, that's attributed to Solomon of wisdom that we're going to get into. All right. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section. All comments welcome. Till next time, I'll see you in the next study.